All right, hello again, and welcome to Unit 7, the role of the TBI. First, I want to do Unit 6 discussion recap and talk about some of the things that were brought up during the discussion. Another really great discussion. We were asked to talk about a few of the things we've been learning in our readings, and some of the things that came up were challenges with the itinerant model. I think because we started talking about special education and our role within special education, many of you who are already working as TBIs brought into the discussion the issues and special challenges that you already see happening. And I thought that was great. I thought it was great that you use each other as resources, and that you're already trying to work through the issues that you're having. And one of those challenges that was brought up was the itinerant model. Sometimes we have so many schools on our caseload that it becomes overwhelming, and you think, if I just had all these kids in one place, I could know exactly what their needs are. And that would be great for us, but it's not necessarily great for the kids, right? And everyone also brought that up, that of course it would take the kids away from their homeschool. It would take the kids on the bus for too long. So these challenges that we have to work around so that we meet the needs of our students within their own school setting. But how do you make sure that you're meeting all their needs when you only see them an hour or less a week? And one of the things that I have found helpful when I first started teaching, another TBI told me to do this, and it was very beneficial, was to front load time with kids. Be very open with your students' parents and your students' classroom teachers that there are going to be days when your schedule's not going to be consistent. Because what you want to do is you want to spend as much time as you can in one child's particular classroom. So you're going to tell the other parents of your students and their classroom teachers that, hey, today I really want to make sure that I'm spending time with little Johnny and making sure that I meet all of his needs. And so that's going to lunch with him. That is going to specials with him, and observing how they interact with their peers on the playground, and how they navigate the playground, and how they work through transitions and ways you can support them. That way you can provide consultation to the parents and the classroom teachers, and provide the support to little Johnny that you need. And then the following week, you can tell the parents of little Johnny and the classroom teachers of little Johnny that it's someone else's turn. And so every week you spend time with a different child. You can make your schedule look sort of different. Pick a day. I always chose Friday, where I spent more time with one particular kid. That was my project of the week. It's very helpful with assessments too. If you've already got observations that you've recorded, that makes your assessments, when you go to do assessments, so much easier. And it seems like, oh, I already have so much limited time. How am I going to do this? But it does work out if you are very upfront with everyone that you're going to spend, 2, maybe 3 hours, not the entire day, but just enough time so you get a better view of what that child's day looks like. And that does help out with an itinerant model, because you don't actually need to be there for every lunch time. You don't actually need to be there to see that child transition to specials every day. You don't need to be with that child every day. You just need to know what their skills are at the moment. and so that you can support them later, and so you can collaborate with the people that are there every day. I hope that makes sense. With that said, there's time constraints, and that was definitely brought up with on the discussion. There are always going to be time constraints. The most important thing to do is make sure that your time is well documented, and that means if you find yourself collaborating a lot with the classroom teacher, make sure that collaboration is outlined on the IEP. If it's not on the IEP, then it looks like your caseload is much, much smaller than what it is. So don't make the mistake that I did the first couple of years I taught. Make sure that you have your indirect time well documented in all of your IEPs. Don't shortchange yourself. Those IEPs and that time, they're just as much for you and your safety as they are for your students. Make sure that your time is well documented. Collaborating with paraprofessionals. This was an interesting topic that came up. There's always challenges with collaborating with anybody, but it does seem like there are some paraprofessionals that are really great and easy to work with, and there are some who just become very challenging. And so the discussion came that how do you work with challenging paraprofessionals? And then the discussion kind of switched to, well, how do you collaborate with challenging professionals? And sorry, my daughter just walked in. But there's always going to be someone that's challenging to you, and I think how do you build relationships with people that seem to bring you down? And I think that's something that happens a lot in education. Unfortunately, I feel like we are a difficult bunch, and sometimes we torture each other. And I don't think it's really on purpose. I think that many of us are perfectionists, and we want things done just perfectly. And sometimes we're hard on ourselves, and sometimes we're hard on our peers. And just make sure that you stay positive and try not to let other people bring you down. Try to make sure that you're just making your own progress and you're learning. Many of you are already teaching, and it's very, very hard. I taught before I was certified, and it was very difficult. It was extremely difficult, and many times you feel so self-defeated. And I have to say, make sure that you're not the one that is torturing yourself more than anyone else. I think we're very hard on ourselves as well. And I think sometimes if you take someone else's comment the wrong way, and it becomes just so upsetting to you, it was probably not intended to be as discouraging as it turned out to be, because you already feel sort of self-defeated. And it's an uphill battle. The first few years you teach are always difficult. But it was a wonderful discussion, and I thought it was great that you guys were using each other as sounding boards. And this week's discussion, we're going to build. This unit is going to be about the role of the TVI, especially with collaboration with parents. And that's very, very, very important. Our goal as teachers is to teach. And without parents as collaborators, it's not going to work. And so this relationship is extremely important. The assignments that you have are to watch the video lecture. There's a really great video called The Role of the TVI, and that's from Perkins. It's about 20 minutes long, but it's very, very good. There's of course another discussion that is due by the end of October 8th. The required readings are Chapter 10, Professional Practice. That goes more in depth with the role of the TVI, specific to ways to get involved with professional organizations, the importance of getting involved in professional organizations, and professional development, how that's also extremely important. And of course, there's additional resources. There's a list of websites for various parent organizations. It's really important to explore these organizations and their websites to know that you have the knowledge to provide to parents, because we are their resource. We need to provide them with places to go when they have questions that we might not be able to help them with. So yeah, Unit 7 again builds on Unit 6, and it goes further into ways of exploring the role of the TVI, because your role as a TVI will be different for each of your students. So this unit will go more in depth in how you define those roles and what they might look like. And it's also about building strong collaborative relationships with care providers. So again, hang in there. Teaching is stressful. So I have a picture here. It's a woman. She's probably about 80 years old. But she's got a big bright smile on her face. She's drinking tea. And it says, "Who says teaching is stressful? I'm 39 and I feel great." So keep that in mind. Teaching is stressful and you guys are all doing great. Have a great week.